wants to introduce the show?
I think it'd be only fitting if you did, Dan.
Okay. All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to another bourbon show. This is the first episode that we're taping here, so please bear with us if things are a little bit rough. We don't have much of a format. We are not the format types of guys. We're just three buddies who like bourbon and tolerate each other. I guess is probably the best way to put it. No, we go way back. We've been friends for going on 10 years now. Bourbon and whiskey have always been important to all three of us. Due to COVID and moving as life goes on, we don't have a chance to get together in person for very often anymore. So we figured, screw it, let's get together virtually on Zoom. So here we are on Zoom. I'm Dan Schmidt. I run a website called the St. Louis Bourbon Buyer's Guide, where I try to help inform people new to bourbon and those experienced with bourbon about the prices they should be paying for bourbon, because the prices have become so astronomical. Try to guide people to locations that sell for a decent price. Try to help people find the bourbon that they might like that they haven't tried before, and exactly where to go and how much that they're going to end up paying for it. Try to help people out in their bourbon experience. So that's me. Again, my name's Dan Schmidt, joined by my two best friends. Both of them were in my wedding. One was a groomsman. One was my best man. So guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
All right. I'm Steven. Like Dan said, I was the best man. You can tell. My background is kind of interesting, I think, for the show, because I probably have the least experience out of us three with whiskey. I've always liked whiskey. It's pretty much the only thing I can drink straight, or really enjoy straight, I guess you'd say, because I can drink other things, but it's like, I feel like if I drink vodka, for instance, like straight, it's just because I'm rough in it. Like I didn't have anything to make a cocktail with, right? I drink whiskey straight by choice because I've always liked it. And I guess that I've never really had like sort of a whiskey education, really. I've tried different ones, through you guys over the years, and I look forward to doing more of that. But I think the podcast will be a way that I'm kind of learning about bourbons and whiskeys, because, I basically came from a background of, just Jim Beam and, Gatorade or whatever war crime cocktail you're coming up with in college, so that's me.
And I am Ryan Namoff. I was not the best man. Steven lets me know about that as often as he can, and those glasses and trim side of the head. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but
his head looks lopsided, by the way. Steven's
I've got the worst webcam set up in the world right now.
Oh, okay. It looks like Jesse put your head in a vice like 20 minutes ago, and it hasn't sprung back yet. Sorry, Namoff. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. Anyways, like I said, I knew these guys for about 10 years. Graduated college, started bartending. I did on the side a little bit in college, but not a lot. So didn't really have anything else to do. So I started bartending, got to know bourbon whiskey, interviewing with a distributor that's pretty popular here in Illinois. Fast forward a few years, I'm a sales rep in downtown Chicago. I sell a lot of these bourbons behind me, as well as a lot of wine, some seltzers, beer. So I kind of have a broad range of all spirits and wine. Done a lot of trainings and real boring stuff that I won't bore any of you guys with. But in the past probably 2-3 years, I've started really getting into bourbon. Weller is one of my favorites, E.H. Taylor, which Dan and I really like. And then, some Blansley. So, looking forward to this and drinking with you guys. Should be a good time.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So the way this is going to go is every episode, we're all three going to be drinking from the same bottle. Well, not necessarily from the same bottle, but we're going to be drinking the same bottle. And tonight, our very first episode is going to be Fighting Cock right here. Now, we chose this particular bourbon not because of some sophomoric name reason, but because that's what Stephen had available to him. He is new to bourbon and whiskey, new-ish to bourbon and whiskey. So we figured we'd make it easy for him, and he had a bottle that he's been sipping on for a while. So we went ahead and got it. Let's talk about Fighting Cock. Fighting Cock is made by Heaven Hill. It's a Heaven Hill product. Heaven Hill is a phenomenal distiller. They've got 2 locations. They've got one in Louisville, and then they've got their Bardstown location. But Fighting Cock is kind of a neat bourbon. It's 103 proof. It was created intentionally to be a direct challenger to Wild Turkey 101. Let's see. Fighting Turkey has a mash bill. It's 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley, which is the exact mash bill of Wild Turkey 101. They refer to Fighting Cock amongst Heaven Hill as the Kickin' Chicken. Their goal was to, like I said, to compete with Wild Turkey 101, but they have a belief that they can do things cheaper and better at Heaven Hill than they can anywhere else in the world. So they wanted to create a competitor heads up against Wild Turkey. And I think they did a pretty damn good job of it. It's a $20 bottle. You can get this anywhere that doesn't have it. It's because they don't choose to carry it. It's not the most popular of bourbons. It's not hard to get. Retailers can get it anytime they want, but many people just don't know about it. So it sits on the shelf and it wastes shelf space. But if you stop into your local liquor store and ask for a bottle or a case, they'll be able to get it to you within probably about a week at most. I bought this particular bottle locally at a place called Friar Tuck's. It's a big box store type liquor store that I try to avoid. But because it's not very popular, I had to go there. None of my local favorite places had it on hand. So I stopped by Friar Tuck's and got it for $20. Steven, do you remember where you got it and how much you paid for it?
It was actually given to me as a gift recently, because a friend of mine knows that I like whiskey. So I forget the occasion, but he gave it to me. But I know that he got it from a local, it's another chain, but I think it's smaller than Friar Tuck's. It's called Royal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many are around, but yeah, there was a Royal he got it from, and it was like $15 or something like that.
Okay.
But he actually has a joke of buying me bird themed whiskey now at this point. Because the other one was Old Crow that he got me, which was not as good as this one. But
yeah, and I'm not a fan of that one.
So he's 1 for 2 so far. That's not a bad batting average, but
50 batting 500 is a good thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
there's
not a ton of story behind it other than that, but I've definitely been enjoying it so far.
Cool. Name off. Where'd you get yours and how much?
Yeah. Up in Chicago, I still like chain accounts, so none of my chain accounts like Target, Jewel Osco, which is the Albertson store, Mariano's, which is Kroger, none of them carry it. I kind of had a hard time finding it. I asked a few of my buddies who sell to independent liquor stores, ended up going to Binny's, and they didn't have it by the one by my house. So I'm in a suburb of Chicago. I bought it in the South Loop, so not far from the Sears Tower over there. So $19.99, and the cashier, I think he's one of the managers, was like, you can't go wrong with this bottle. So not only were you guys telling me how good it was, but he was too. So I'm pretty excited to try it. And I think I'm the only one who hasn't tried it between the two, or the three of us. So
yeah.
But I love Heaven Hill. I mean, it's great stuff. Every time I go to Louisville, I love seeing Heaven Hill on the well at pretty much every bar. Now you could drink great on the well, which is always awesome.
Yeah. No, Heaven Hill makes some phenomenal bourbons.
I guess
they make my favorite, my very favorite. I will talk about it till the day I die. My favorite true bottom shelf whiskey of any sort, Mellow Corn. I love Mellow Corn. I will love Mellow Corn until the day I die, and I hope they never change their horribly ugly label. But yeah, love Heaven Hill. So, Steve, are all three of us going to try it neat, iced, and with a splash of water?
Yeah, that's what I'm planning.
Yeah, it works with me.
Okay. So let's give her a go. I'm starting off with neat.
Neat.
It's got a nice scent to it, nice and soft. No, like I'm not picking up like there's no like alcohol burn in when I'm
Not at all. It's
smelling
kind of sweet. It's kind of sweet on the palate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
I'm
that.
trying my hardest not to compare it to Old Crow for no reason at all, other than the bird theme. And yeah, Old Crow. There's just some whiskey that has a terrible smell to it right when you first open it. And I guess what struck me and gave me hope was when I first opened Fighting Cock, it didn't have that terrible like paint thinner scent. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I describe it exactly, but it's like you said, it's very like a smooth smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's been a while since I've had it. I've always like I don't know, I think I bought a bottle of it 2 or 3 years ago and I did enjoy it for $20. It's not like it wasn't going to become a permanent staple in my collection, but I will never regret buying spending that $20 whenever I do pick one up. So like the taste, it is smooth. It is really smooth.
Real smooth.
And like again, there's no Kentucky hug, no burn or excessive warmth and
Almost like a
what's that?
let's get like a honey type note. I find it sweeter than most bourbons.
Yeah.
At least the ones I drink.
I'm feeling like this would be extra good in a whiskey sour. Like I'm almost picking up like a lemon flavor just from sipping it. So it seems like you could accentuate that if you were like going to make a whiskey sour out of it or with it. But at $20, like the nice thing is that if you and your college buddies want to just get shitty drunk, you can do shots of it. Yeah. Like it's cheap enough you can do shots. If you want to sip it neat, you can. It's got a great flavor to it.
There's almost like a rum quality to it when I drink it as well, like the finish on it. Like the mouthfeel that I have after drinking rum is kind of what I get from this. Like I feel like I just had like a rum and Coke or something, even though I'm drinking it straight.
Like if there's anybody that ever watches this, like who knows if anybody except for the three of us will ever watch it. But if you are somebody who has been around bourbon and whiskey for a while, Stephen is not talking about like a bourbon that's finished in a rum cask. It is not nearly that sweet. He's talking about, honestly, if you were to have a rum and Coke, the mouthfeel that you get after that rum and Coke is pretty much the same thing that this does to you when it's just drink neat. It's not nearly as sweet as any sort of a rum cask finished bourbon.
Because there's almost like a burn to the end of it where it's
as sweet as that right there, Stephen, huh? A little rum chata for you.
Huh? There's kind of a burn to the end of it, almost that's similar to like carbonation, like a very light burn that you get. So that I think that's part of why I feel like the rum and Coke maybe.
I see what you're saying. Like when you get like carbon dioxide up in your nose from drinking a Coke too fast or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. It's like a very light burn that I get from this that's just akin to like a bubbling almost.
Yeah. Yeah, for $20, I like this a lot. Like, yeah, it's still not going to become a permanent part of my shelf because it just won't. But if you're somebody who likes Wild Turkey 101, I could see you liking this better. I mean, it's especially since it's about $4 cheaper. I should mention, bourbon drinkers are all about age statements. Age statements. Oh, it has to, blah blah blah. Now, this does not have an age statement. They used to. If memory serves, it was back when it first came out and up until about 2015. It carried a 6-year age statement. It no longer has an age statement whatsoever. So all we know is that it's aged at least 2 years because it is a straight bourbon. But it's more complex than only being a 2-year age statement. I would guess, I don't know. I don't know. It seems more complex. It doesn't have like the finish goes away real fast, right? Like the taste in your mouth, for me at least, the taste in my mouth, it goes away super quick, which is indicative of a $20 bottle of bourbon, let's be real. But it's good. It's tasty.
I think that taste going away is maybe why like the prevalent thing that I'm feeling is just the slight burn afterwards, as well.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
it's like, well, I feel sort of like carbonation afterwards.
So I'm going to move. So mine is now chilled. All of my ice is now melted. But I'm going to see if chilling it changes the flavor at all. Oh, it's even sweeter. To me, it's even sweeter.
Let me try.
What are you drinking right now? Iced?
Yeah, right now it's with ice.
I don't even get a burn.
No.
Yeah. I don't really taste a whole lot now, honestly. But it's probably because I just finished half the glass from the last one.
With ice, it almost has almost like a peat flavor to it. Like a peat moss from a scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very light, very dull.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so far I would much rather have it neat than with the ice.
Yeah.
The ice just kills some of that flavor that it's got when it's neat. But it brings out
I don't
more
really
of the
get much of that, like honey.
Yeah.
I don't. I usually don't put any ice or water in my bourbon. Sometimes I'll do water if it's like 120 proof or more, just to kind of balance it out a little bit. But I don't put a lot of ice in my whiskey unless it's like a Jack and Coke or something like that.
Yeah.
I like drinking it straight.
So for me, it all depends on like every single whiskey bourbon that I have. It always depends like what I'm going to do to it. So whenever I buy a new bottle, the very first night, I always only drink it neat, just straight neat, never anything but neat, if I've never tried it before. The next night that I try it, I'll try it with a splash of water and with an ice cube, just to see like what those two variations do to the flavor of the whiskey. And then based on that, that's how I decide I'm going to drink it for pretty much the rest of eternity. So like Michter's bourbon, I love Michter's bourbon, US 1 bourbon. It is one of my very favorites. But I always have it with I'll take this glass, it'll be filled up to about there, and it'll take about two ice cubes I'll put in it. Just because I like the flavor that the ice cubes brings out of that Michter's. Now that Michter's is a very low proof. So it's not the proof that for me determines what I'm going to do to it. Whereas with like Elijah Craig, right now I've got a bottle of Elijah Craig barrel proof, the B520. That's 125 proof if memory serves. I drink that neat because the flavor that it comes out of that bottle, that's how I prefer it. And yeah, it numbs my tongue, but I like that flavor neat better than I do with a splash of water or with ice.
I don't think I would ever drink this with ice because the flavor just goes away too quick. Yeah. There's nothing left.
So you've had this, how much of the bottle do you have left? Like it's almost gone, right?
Yeah, it's very little left.
Have you drank most of it neat?
Yes.
Did you try it in any sort of a mixed drink at all?
I may have had like a whiskey Coke, but I don't think so. I think it's just been straight pretty much.
Okay. Is this one that you're gonna replace it whenever it's gone?
I think it's one of those like bargain bin ones. It just depends on what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something that's in this price range, 100%. I think
Yeah.
it's definitely, gotten itself on my radar now.
Mhm.
But whether or not it'll stack up over the test of time during the show, I don't know. But I think that so far it's probably my go-to in this price range.
Okay. What about you, Naof? When this one's gone, will you replace it?
I don't sell it, so what I don't sell a lot of the times, I don't try as much just because of the job. They give us a lot of bottles and that. But I mean, if I'm looking to get a little drunk and I'm feeling sad or something, I'll go spend $20 on this easily. I mean, this is one you could drink straight, and I like that honey flavor it brings out. I would definitely buy another bottle. If I have some of my friends who aren't as good as friends as you guys, some of the lower tier friends, I'd buy some of that and be like, guys, check this out.
This is for the trash.
Kind of be
For the groomsmen,
yeah,
as opposed to the best man.
yeah. This is a groomsman, yeah, for sure. But I would definitely buy it again. I mean, it's not something like I'm gonna go out of my way to buy, but like Steven said, like you see it maybe on an end cap and
Mhm.
you haven't had it in a while. Yeah, I would totally grab it and buy it.
Mhm.
For the price, it's hard to beat. It's great. I mean, $20 Heaven Hill bourbon. I mean, you can't go wrong with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
I wish I
love
sold
to
Heaven
see
Hill.
this. I would love to see this in the little bins where they have like the little plastic shot glasses. It's like just grab a few of those on the way to the parade or whatever. This would be like the new go-to.
And that's why Steven has almost died in our presence so many times.
I'll tell you, one thing I need to say in defense of myself is I never have a bad alcohol experience away from Ryan. It is always with Ryan. I mean, it's like a night like this, like what a chill night, Then you have Ryan, who's just like, it's a Tuesday and you haven't eaten yet, but let's go drink for 8 hours.
Yeah, the drunkest I ever been in college was a Tuesday, but it was always a Tuesday. For whatever reason, Tuesday was just a night. But I'm sure every other night was too.
A lot of good deals. How many people drinking?
I'm thinking about the night when the three of us went to the trivia night, and we drank. The three of us drank 7 pitchers of beer, and then she's now my wife. At the time, she was my girlfriend. The 4 of us go downtown to Stagger, which was the source of many a drunken night. And I remember you specifically, Ryan, you were like, I could outdrink you. And I was just like, fuck, no, you can't. And we went back and forth, and like, holy Christ, we drank a lot that night. I don't know who outdrank who, and it doesn't matter. Like, we're not measuring dicks anymore. But man, we got drunker than we should have. That's the way I'm going to work.
We outdrank Steven. That's all that matters. Which wasn't hard to do at the time because
no. I'm going to try it with
I drink my like 2 pitchers though. I mean,
yeah, I remember. I would say we're all pretty smart guys. We're pretty good at trivia. We do other trivia nights every once in a while too. That night we came dead last, by a mile. It wasn't even. I think we just stopped listening. We stopped listening to the questions eventually.
Yeah, but there was also like we had like 3 of us at the table. Everybody else had like 16. And there was a couple questions where you had to like correct them, Ryan.
Slice.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
So
and then she came up to you. Oh, are you using your phone? Like, bitch, we're in last place. You think he's using his phone?
Yeah, just imagine how embarrassing that would be for us. Of course we're not using our phone. Are you kidding me?
Well, when you see 7 pictures stacked up on top of each other, it's justifiable that she would ask, are you cheating and still doing so horribly? Like, that's a fair question. When it's 3 dudes and 7 pitchers of beer.
We had another really memorable night of trivia at Shenanigans one time. Whenever we had, again, we were drinking a lot there, but we were doing well. We got to like the final round, and it was like movie trivia, and it was like it was between us and one other team. And Ryan, you guys sent me up, and like so we like basically stood in front of the moderator or whatever you glorify, the the bar trivia guy reading them as, and you stand in front of this guy.
I mean, he's still making $3.25 an hour, so like,
yeah, he deserves, hopefully he's doing well in these trying times, But I was standing up there in front of the guy. Our table's in the way back. I have to go all the way up to the front where they have this, like, the podium at. And then this other guy who I'm against, his table's right next to us. And I remember that he started saying, like the movie trivia was something like, we just had to say it, whoever got it first. It was like a sudden death thing. And he started out by saying, like, Jack Nicholson, like, you can't handle, and I go, A Few Good Men. And before I finish saying A Few Good Men, the other guy comes in and, like, finishes, like, so I start saying A Few Good, and he goes, Few Good Men, like that. And then clearly I started saying it first, and the podium guy started to say that I won. And then that guy's table very vocally next to us, it's just like, no, the other guy got it. And then the guy just caved because that table was closer. And then I remember walking back to the table after that and just getting ripped off, and Ryan just going like, it's a shitty bar trivia anyway, dude. Another round.
That bar's out of business now.
Yeah, they are. They've been three different places since they closed.
Really?
They're now a nail salon.
Oh, that's sad.
You're talking about Shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from Shenanigans to some sort of gastropub, and now it's a very high-end nail salon, like way high-end nail salon.
They went out of business just as we accumulated like $300 worth of like coupons through the trivia nights. We had like accrued all of this from all the times we had won, and then right before we were going to cash out, they closed their doors. Coincidence? I think.
We got some stories out of that place.
It's clearly a conspiracy against you two. That's what it's got to be. Hey, I tried it with just a splash of water, and I might prefer that over neat. Just strangely, I felt like it had a little bit more heat to it with a splash of water, personally.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little spicier, right?
It is.
Like it, I took it and I like kind of swished it back and forth in my mouth. And I've done that with all three of them. And easily, with a splash of water, is how it caused the most heat on my cheeks. And I think that is really odd.
It is definitely spicier.
No, I do think this would be interesting in a cocktail, really.
Mm-hmm. I could see it in a Manhattan. I can't see it in an old fashioned. I think it would be too sweet in an old fashioned. I can see it in a whiskey sour. I could see it with just literally just neat, straight, with a splash of seltzer water. I think that could be a neat way of drinking it. Interesting way of drinking it.
I was going to ask you guys,
I still prefer straight.
Do you?
I was going to ask you guys, if you buy a bottle of whiskey, how do you drink it the first time? Do you?
I mentioned it a second ago.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So
I drink it straight. I usually always drink bourbon straight. I don't know. It just, I don't know. I kind of like that kick, I like feeling I don't really like to water anything down, but that's just my preference. I mean, it definitely, with the splash of water, definitely with the ice was my least favorite. Yeah, for sure. I would never put ice in that whiskey, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely gives you more kick with the water for sure. But that kind of that honey sweetness that I liked in the first drink, the straight drink, was my preferred, but I definitely like this too. But yeah, anytime I get a bottle, I drink it straight. Usually for the first time, unless I'm doing a cocktail. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I mentioned it earlier, but Stephen, you weren't paying attention as usual. No, but so I'll even actually go a little bit more in depth. So whenever I buy a brand new bottle, whenever I get it home, I always take the cap off, whether it be screw top or cork. I don't give a shit. I'll get on that soapbox later, but I actually prefer screw top. I think corks are stupid. They don't do anything for the flavor. It just makes it look nice. Anyway, but I always take the top off, and I just leave it sitting out on the counter for probably about an hour, just to kind of let it go, let it breathe, let it get some air. Who knows how long it's been on a shelf? Who knows how long it was on a truck? Who knows how much ethanol has built up from being in through all of that? So I take the top off and I just leave it sit. And then whenever I try it the very first time, I always drink it straight. If I have 3 glasses of something, the very first night I have it, all 3 are going to be straight. The next time I have it, then I always want to try it with a little bit of ice, and I want to try it with a splash of water, just to see how the whiskey or the bourbon reacts in those different situations. And then from there on, I typically drink it the same way, like however I decide I prefer it, I typically drink it that way forever and ever after that. Now, I'm also a weird one. I will mix any bourbon. I don't care what it is. If I want to try an old fashioned or a Manhattan with a bottle of Pappy 25 or 23, excuse me, I will do it. Like, I paid for it. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want with it.
I'm not doing it when I'm paying for it.
What's that?
You're not doing it if I'm paying for it.
No. If somebody else is paying for it, then that's a different story. And I don't have any Pappy 23 right now. I've made a mixed drink with Weller Full Proof, and I'll do it again if I choose to. I think that E.H. Taylor Small Batch is one of the best mixing bourbons on the planet. It's also perfect for sipping. But that's why E.H. Taylor Small Batch is one of my very favorites on the planet.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Great bourbon. I got some of that right here. And I mean, just the presentation of the bottle too. The case it comes in, little tin. It just stands out too. I love it.
Everything about it's cool.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Steven?
I was gonna ask that too. What you just got into. I was curious if you guys had any like limits where you wouldn't put something in a cocktail anymore or not. Because I know that was in like the article that you sent across to us earlier, Dan, that had like some of the best bottom shelf whiskeys. They were just talking about how, guilt-free you can use any of them in a cocktail, but I was curious if you guys had any guilt for using more expensive bourbons in cocktails.
I would say I'm less likely. Like, I have made plenty of mixed drinks with E.H. Taylor Small Batch, and I will continue to make mixed drinks with E.H. Taylor Small Batch. I guess one of the reasons why I'm willing to do that is I am fairly well connected within the bourbon world. So, like, I don't have a problem getting another bottle of E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Whereas there's a lot of folks who they struggle just to acquire a bottle of E.H. Taylor Small Batch. I can get it pretty much anytime I want for $40. So, like, $40 is not cheap, but there's other people, like, if they even find it, they're going to have to pay $60, $65, $70 for it. So I do have to take that into consideration when I'm saying that I have no problems mixing E.H. Taylor.
So it's more about a price point.
No. For me, I think it's more about accessibility.
I see.
So, like, because it's accessible to me, I'm willing to say, well, why wouldn't I have a great old-fashioned as opposed to a really good old-fashioned? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's
You're just a little more bougie than the college days, that's all.
Yeah. I've got more money than and better connections than I did in the college days.
Yeah.
See, for me, I kind of see it as more of like, drinking like an E.H. Taylor, a special occasion. Like, I'm not cracking open that bottle very often, maybe, once a month, once every couple months. But if I'm doing, I usually drink a Manhattan. I'll go with Woodford. You know, it's a good, I mean, $30 bottle depending on where you find it, but just something I'm familiar with, and I
Just
know how the
you're
cocktails.
talking about just their straight bourbon?
Yeah, just their straight bourbon. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the ones I prefer, but that's just because I drink it so often. It's kind of I don't drink it on occasion like I would an E.H. Taylor or a Weller or a Blanton. So if I'm drinking something like that, I'm gonna drink it straight and slow and sip it and enjoy it. And then I really like Legion bourbon, which is I believe by the people over at Maker's Mark. That's a good one to mix, and then Woodford mainly. There's a couple others I'm blanking on right now, but the bourbons I'm more familiar with that I drink more often than those higher end ones, I guess you want to say. I'll mix those in a cocktail. But I just prefer that. I mean, I would love to try H. Taylor small batch in a old fashioned. I think it'd probably be delicious. Maybe next time I come see you, I'll do it.
You should. An E.H. Taylor small batch old fashioned is phenomenal. Like really, really good. Just the profile of the E.H. Taylor small batch with the ingredients of an old fashioned, they just mesh so well. You've got the vanilla and the caramel from the bourbon mixed with the like true sweetness of the simple syrup. Add in just the flavor from the bitters, and then throw in a couple Luxardo cherries, and it is just like, holy shit, that's a good drink. Yeah. And now that's not an everyday. Like, I'm not having one of those every day. And every day for me is taking something like a fighting cock and having a old fashioned, or to be honest with you, so I love Michter's, but I'm not a fan of their sour mash. Like, it's good, but it's not as good as their bourbon or their whiskey or their rye. But I've got a bottle of their. What's that?
I love that sour mash. I'm trading a bottle of Blanton's for a sour. I can't find Michter's sour mash anywhere here, so I'm doing a little trade with a buddy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make that trade with you anytime, because I've got a solid line on Michter's sour mash.
I know. Crazy. I'm 4 hours away though. It's kind of tough.
You son of a bitch! You were here 2 weeks ago.
I know.
So I'm not a fan of the sour mash. So I'm trying to get rid of that bottle. But it does taste really good in an old fashioned. So I'm getting rid of that bottle by drinking an old fashioned every 3 or 4 nights with the sour mash. But
it's a good way to get rid of a bottle too you don't like.
Yeah.
Making a cocktail.
And I should rephrase this.
Well, you like it, yeah.
I like it, but I'm not. I like too many other bourbons at $45 or $40 in that range. There's other $40 or $45 bourbons and whiskeys that I much prefer over sour mash. So let's get rid of this and buy an extra bottle of that other $40 bourbon and whiskey.
That makes sense.
What was you guys' first whiskey experience? You remember what it was?
I do. Well, I remember the first ones that I bought. So I was 15 and I had a fake ID, and I was down in Texas at the time and was getting ready to go to a party. And I already knew from raiding my dad's whiskey cabinet that I liked the flavor of whiskey and bourbon. So I go to the store and I buy the very first bottle I ever purchased of any whiskey was Black Velvet, which is Canadian whiskey made by, it's through the Sazerac company.
It used to be. I don't believe it is anymore.
Is it?
Our competitor distributes it now. You probably bought the handle, the 1.75.
This was just a 750. This was just a 750, but still, okay. Yeah, still a plastic bottle.
Yeah. Oh, God. I see it everywhere still. Yeah.
I threw up so hard. Like, yeah, that was the very first whiskey I ever bought myself.
I believe my first experience was Crown Royal, but it's Canadian whiskey. I got a buddy who calls Canadian whiskey.
Still Black Velvet.
Yeah, vodka flavored whiskey is what my buddy of mine calls it, and they're just doing whatever they want to that stuff. I mean, you know, have some morals, uh, So, but I remember I went through a pretty rough breakup, and I drank a whole bottle of Evan Williams, which is also a Heaven Hill
Mhm.
product, I believe.
It
And
is.
yeah, I drank the whole bottle, and I wasn't hungover the next day,
Yeah.
shockingly.
And that was about the time I started hanging out with you.
Yeah, right around then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good though. I mean, I loved it. And then I think I tried their honey like the next day, and I was not a fan. Way too sweet. But yeah, Crown Royal and Evan Williams.
Yeah, mine was Jack Daniels. And that's why I thought of it, because we were talking about the sour mash a minute ago. And I don't know, something about it. I don't like at least the sour mashes I've had as much. I couldn't list all of them, but anytime I've had a sour mash, something about it I don't love as much. I don't know. It's just more medicinal taste, I think.
Yeah,
Well, so there's a lot of many of the bourbons and whiskeys that you drink are partial sour mash. I think that Michter, like I do like Jack Daniels. I'm a big fan of Jack Daniels, as a matter of fact. I'm not gonna sit there and drink 2 or 3 glasses of it neat. But I think it's a very versatile whiskey. And by the way, Jack Daniels is technically bourbon. They just don't label themselves bourbon. Um, but Michter's sour mash specifically, I think that's too much of a good thing. Sour mash can add a lot of great flavor, but to me, Michter's sour mash is just too much of a good thing. So that's why I don't like it.
I'm getting some tomorrow, so I'll probably drink a little bit. Last time I had it, I had a lot of bourbon before having it, so it'll be nice to try it when I'm a little more sober.
Hey, that liquor store I took you to, you didn't buy any while you were there.
No, I didn't, because I flew in. I didn't want to check a bag.
Oh, okay.
At O'Hare, it's always a pain in the ass. So I'll drive down next. That flight's awesome though. Chicago to St. Louis, it's like 40 minutes. You're up and you're down. I mean, I could check a bag. I mean, I was just being lazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
yeah.
because that store, they always have sour mash, rye, and bourbon. They might not always have the whiskey, but they've always got the bourbon, rye, and sour mash.
Yeah. I think they're a different distributor down there as well. I don't know if our competitor is down there. So you have access to a lot of bourbons that I don't see a lot up here, which is nice. So I know you've bought some stuff for my dad and I in the past. So
not that I would ever do any sort of illegal activities. I purchased it on your behalf. I want to make
on my
sure
behalf. Oh yeah. I mean, PayPal.
There was no secondary sales here.
That's no secondary sales. It's just I can't find any of this. I mean, it's hard to find E.H. Taylor up here. Weller's getting a little easier, but just we're a different distributor, so just quantities are harder to get. There's more people up here, so down there things are a little more sparse, I guess you want to say. So no secondary market.
Yeah,
I promise.
I will say that I have learned, like, as I've gotten deeper into, like, instead of just drinking and enjoying bourbon, trying to understand the distributor side and the retail side and the business aspects, I will say that I've learned something I did not realize before. We are really, really, really lucky in the St. Louis area due to what we have access to and the fact that we are right on the border between Illinois and Missouri. There are things that we have access to in Illinois that Missouri does not have access to, such as Very Old Barton. Very Old Barton is a phenomenal, oh my God, for less than $25, I don't know that you can beat Very Old Barton. But in Illinois, we have access to that. Over in Missouri, they've got access to things that we don't have access to in Illinois. They have better access for New Riff. They have better access. They have any access to spirits of French lick. yeah, so it's we're in a really lucky area. So yeah, and I didn't realize that before, especially up in Chicago. You guys are kind of out of luck. Um,
Yeah, and it's all about who you know too. That's the lucky part of being in a distributor. Like, um, when a pappy comes out, you have relationships with some of these buyers. If they get some, then it's like, hey, I've helped you out. I'm not saying any of this like in a legal way. It's like
yeah,
you have a good business relationship with somebody, then they're more likely to sell you, something that they got, which is very limited in quantity. So that's always nice too. So I've definitely gotten lucky, with a bottle of Pappy and a few other things, some Weller. So that's good. Hopefully things continue that way. We'll see though. It's so competitive up here. It's so hard to get things. But I have friends who sell it on independent stores. So that's where I'm getting the Michter Sour Mash from. My buddy bought it from one of his accounts. I'm excited to try that. So if I get a line on anything, I'll let you know. But I mean, it's probably fruitless because you seem to know a lot of people.
yeah, I'm really lucky. Like, yeah, I've gotten to know some the owners and managers of some really good stores, and um, I'm a big believer. Like, okay, so first of all, we were talking earlier about how's the right way to drink whiskey, bourbon. I'm a true believer in the fact that the best bourbon is the bourbon you're sharing with friends, right? Like, I don't care what it is. If you're sitting around hanging out, having a good time with friends, that bourbon tastes a million times better than if you're just sitting by yourself or you're pissed off and you're drinking just because not even like the 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 sad drunks. I'm talking about just like a normal evening where I'm just enjoying a whiskey. This tastes probably 5 times better because we're meeting virtually than if I was just sitting upstairs watching a movie with my wife or whatever. So I'm a big believer in that. Second of all, I'm also a big believer in the fact that bourbon is great for creating relationships, not only with friends, but also with store owners, store managers, workers, etc. And I think that true belief, right? Like that, like I truly believe that. I think that that's what has benefited me in getting access to hard to get liquors is I want to have conversations with these folks. If they're busy, I'm not going to take up their time. But if they're slow, I'm going to ask them how their day is. I'm going to get to know them. The folks that work at these stores, they're great, great people. So if you treat people nicely, they're going to try to treat you nicely too. And I'm not treating them nicely just so that they treat me nicely. I'm treating them nicely because they're good folks, right? So I think that that's benefited me and gotten me access to stuff.
There's so many people that don't get that, who they'll call a store every single day. Do you have Blanton's?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have Buffalo Trace? Do you have Eagle Rare? I'm just, things I sell, for example.
Oh, yeah.
They'll just call and hound. They'll come into a store and ask, and then they'll turn around and walk right back out the door without buying anything. It's different if you go in, you make conversation, spend 50, $60, get to know the guy a little bit and be like, hey, if you guys ever get Blanton's or anything, let me know. I know it's probably hard, but I really like your store. I'm going to come, create a relationship. Just don't expect that you're going to be able to get Blanton's or, like you said, I think Four Roses is being allocated soon.
Yeah,
I mean, people just aren't going to sell to you if you're just a random guy off the street, especially if it seems like you're going to just flip it on the secondary market, which is what a lot of people do. And I've seen it firsthand, and you have too. Just try to support local. I mean, I know I sell to these corporate places, but I grew up in Central Illinois. I know a bunch of people in liquor stores. Just make that relationship. You'll get a lot of bourbon that you like, a lot of whiskey that you like. Just don't call and hound these people. They don't like it.
Well, and like one of the things that I've noticed is that like, I've got this great access. I never buy. I think that there have been times when I've bought 2 bottles of an allocated liquor at the same time, but only in a situation where like, okay, I'm buying this for me and I'm buying this one for my dad because it's his birthday or Father's Day or whatever. But I have never, ever bought more than 2 bottles of an allocated liquor at the same time ever in my life. And part of that is intentional, that I want these folks to know I'm not buying in bulk because I'm going to sell a bunch of it on the secondary market. If I buy something, it's getting opened typically that same damn night. Like of something allocated, right? Like this I bought a couple days ago, but it's $20. Like nobody cares. Nobody notices when you buy a bottle of Fighting Cock. But when you buy what's that?
It makes me laugh every time. Sorry.
You like the way Fighting Cock comes out of your mouth?
Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just a good name.
Steven's a bigger fan of the Raging Cock in his mouth, not.
Yeah.
You can cut that if you want, Steven.
Nope, it's staying in.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my god, dude. That's the funniest shit ever whenever you went downstairs at Dan's open bar to buy $12 shots of Fireball. Oh my god.
You did what?
You didn't know about that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Ryan left your open bar to go downstairs and buy Fireball.
I like $100 tab outside your open bar.
Dude, if you were to come up to me and said, hey, I want some Fireball, I could have gone up and said, dude, we want Fireball. He'd have gone and got fucking Fireball.
I was hammered, dude.